Good afternoon, everybody. This is Michelle here. I hope you can hear me. Yeah. Welcome to attend this session of P4 Maths Achiever. In fact, this is one out of two-part series that I'm conducting to help you or your child to cope with SA2 questions, to approach them with certain strategies, and to dissect challenging word problems. Yeah, so today's the first session, and I'll be covering whole numbers from 4 to 5 p.m. So if you are here for the first time and if you have not attended my previous session, by the way, for the past few weeks, I have been running a similar session for primary 5 students. What you can do is to actively participate in this session. You could have a piece of paper, your stationery, to take down the questions and to work them out during the session, because we'll be going through them, and if we could also engage with some lively discussion or contribution of answers, that would be great as well. Yeah. Okay, so I will begin with the session now. So just a short introduction of myself. I graduated with a degree of science, BSc Education in Mathematics in NIE, and that was back in 2005. And I have been a teacher with MOE from 2005 to 2011. And since then, I have dedicated my time to become a maths tutor, impacting lives in a smaller group. And I love interacting with children and imparting to them life skills and a passion for learning. Yeah, so if you take a look at the pictures on the right, you will see me with my students, and also some of them who are doing their maths. Yeah, so I do tutor primary school and secondary school students. And if you were to look at the picture at the bottom, that's me. A few months back during CB when I was conducting an online session with my students. Yeah. Okay, so if you'd like to know more about what I've been doing all this while, you could connect with me via my Facebook page, Learning at Miss Xiao's tuition blog. I do have a blog whereby I share certain things that come across during my teaching, certain tips, certain occurrences, encounters with students that are quite interesting. I do share them from time to time. And I do have teaching videos of selected primary and secondary school topics. Please feel free to access them, and you can take a look at them as well. Now, before we start the topic of whole numbers, I'd just like to pose a question to you about what is maths to you. You may be looking at this slide as a parent, you may be looking at this slide as a student, but how do you see maths? Is it something that you find you can apply to life? Is it something that you take a while to understand only after you've been explained to? Or is it something you enjoy doing, but actually you don't really understand what's going on? You just enjoy doing it because you can get the answer. So I'm not so sure what is it about maths, that means to you. Anyone would like to share? Personally, for me, maths is something that is intriguing. Okay, it's not something that I understand most of the time. In fact, sometimes I get confused. I can't get out of the rut of what I've been taught. And most of the time, to me, it's frustrating. It's frustrating because I can't seem to understand. But when someone comes alongside to explain to me what exactly I don't understand, to come down to my level, to dissect the question, dissect the topic, and make sense of it. Most importantly, I get to see how it's played out in real life. Then I enjoy maths because maths becomes relevant. Maths becomes something that I see and I could use in real life. So spend some time to think about this, even after this session. What is maths to you? And hopefully you can get some meaning out of it. Yeah. And another quote I would like to leave with you before we start. There should be no such thing as boring mathematics. Quite interesting that I chanced upon. Think about it. Okay, why was this mentioned? Is math really not boring at all? Why? Why not? Okay. All right. So without further ado, let's just take a look at what exactly are whole numbers. Today we'll be going into this topic. So whole numbers are numbers that begin from 0, and whole numbers are positive all the time. So here are some examples. For example, if you look at 0, 1, 2, 3, these are examples of whole numbers. And I suppose you are not alien to this. Yeah. So what are not whole numbers? Proper fractions, such as 2/3, 4/5, 1/6. These are not whole numbers. Mixed numbers, such as 3 wholes, 2 out of 3, and even decimals, yeah, 4.68. These are not whole numbers. Okay, so let's take a look at some questions on whole numbers. So I'm going to take the questions from ACS School Junior, and it's from last year's SA2 paper. Okay, so let's take a look at this question here. Question 18, it's an MCQ question. So let's read the question. The sum of two numbers is 5,632. Greater number is 5,624. What is the quotient when you divide the greater number by the smaller number? So I'm going to give you about a minute to work out the answers to this question, and we'll discuss it in a short while. About 10 seconds more. If you're done, you could raise up your hands so I have an indication that you are ready. Thanks, Hannah. All right, let's take a look at the question here. First sentence says the sum of two numbers is 5,632. Okay, now, so what's sum? Sum stands for addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division? Addition, right? Okay, so the greater number is 5,624. Just based on these two sentences, we could actually find out some information that we don't have. So we know that there is a sum of two numbers. So something plus something, and that gives you 5,632. And since the second statement says that the greater number is 5,624, let's just put it over here. So this refers to 5,624. Now from here, how do we find the second number? Anyone would like to share how we can find the second number? Yeah, we have the addition of two numbers to give 5,632. So if we have one, to find the other, we have to take 5,632 minus 5,624. Yeah? And if you were to work it out, you will get 8. Okay, so 8 is actually the second number. Hopefully you've got it as well. So I'm going to write down 8 over here. Okay, so then knowing that both numbers are already found, what is the quotient when you divide the greater number by the smaller number? This question is quite tricky. They expect you to know what the greater number is. So in this case, the greater number is 5,624 and the smaller number is 8. So if you divide the greater number by the smaller number, it will be 5,624 divided by 8. Okay, and if you work it out, you will get 703. Okay. Do you manage to get the answer? How many of you managed to get the answer? You can show me by a raise of hands. Okay, all right, thank you. Thanks, Hannah, you got it right. Let's move on to the next question. Thanks, Estelle. In case you do not have enough time to write down all the working, don't worry. I will move on to the next question, but please go and check your email. By the end of today, I will send out the slides of all the annotations, all the workings to all these questions, so you can look through them again. All right, so not to worry. We'll move on to the next one. So the next question is question 20. This is about stamps. I'll give you a minute or two to take a look and work through this, and we'll discuss the answer after that. Okay, 5 seconds more. All right, let's take a look at the question. Question says that Mr. Gan has 6,778 Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia stamps. So if you were to consider all the stamps, you have Singapore plus Thailand plus Malaysia, and all the stamps add up to 6,778. For Singapore stamps, it's mentioned in the second sentence, 3,754. And the rest were Thailand and Malaysian stamps. So can we find the number of stamps from Thailand and Malaysia? Now, based on the question, we know that all three countries, in total, the number of stamps is 6,778, right? So from here, we can find the number of stamps from Thailand and Malaysia by taking 6,778 minus 3,754. So if you were to subtract, you will get 3,024. Okay, so in place of the question mark, I'm going to put down 3,024. Okay, now, second part of the question mentions that there were 3 times as many Thailand stamps as Malaysia stamps. So if we were to consider stamps from Thailand, it's 3 times as many. So 3 times as many, we refer it to 3 units, and Malaysia stamps is being compared to, so Malaysia stamps will be 1 unit. And just now, we worked out that both countries have a total of 3,024 stamps. So this means that 4 units, which is 3 units plus 1 unit, is 3,024. And from here, we can find 1 unit of stamps. So what's 1 unit of stamp? We take 3,024 divided by 4, and we will get 756. So there are 756 stamps from Malaysia. Answer will be option 1. You managed to get the answer? All right, thank you. So Estelle and Hannah, wow, okay. How about the rest? Do you all manage to try out the questions as well? Okay. We'll move on to the next question. Please let me know if you have questions on, with regards to the working, and then I could explain further if you need to. Right, third question over here is on sweets. Mr. Tay had 786 more sweets than Mr. Wen. Mr. Wen then sold half of his sweets and had 265 sweets left. How many sweets did Mr. Tay have? So again, I'm going to leave you with a minute or two to work this question out. Looks like it's getting harder, right? Yeah, question 38 now. No more MCQ. All right, let's take a look at this question. This question mentions in the first sentence that Mr. Tay had 786 more sweets than Mr. Wen. So what we can do is we can start off by drawing a model. So we have Mr. Tay here and Mr. Wen. So if Mr. Tay has 786 more sweets, and if I were to draw a bar, it will be longer than Mr. Wen by 786. So it will look something like that. Now, Mr. Wen then sold half of his sweets and had 265 sweets left. So now we want to focus on Mr. Wen. Mr. Wen sold half of his sweets. So if he has 1 unit of sweets and he's going to sell off half of his sweets, that means I need to break this 1 big unit into 2 smaller units. And this is this portion. Let's say I want to mark it out. I'll put as sold, and the other portion would be whatever that is left. And what is left? The question mentions that it is 265. Now, what can we say about the number of sweets that were sold? Anyone would like to try?
Is 1 unit 265?
1 unit 265. You mean the one over here? 265?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you say about this unit here? Do you think it's the same
Yes.
unit?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah, you're right. In fact, the portion that is being sold is also 265 because Mr. Wen sold half of his sweets. If half is sold, that means the other half will be what is left. That means whatever that is left is equals to whatever that is sold, and it's equals to 265. Thanks, Jordan. Okay, so how much does Mr. Wen have at first from here? So to find his total number of sweets, what we need to add is
265 times 2.
Yes, 265 times 2. Or we can just add 265 to 265. So
after that, you plus 786. Wait, no, minus. Oh, what? I also don't know.
Let's see. So, okay, have we managed to find Mr. Wen's total to be 530? So if we have found that Mr. Wen has 530 sweets, what we can do is recognize that actually this can be brought up. I hope that you can see that. And from here, we can find what Mr. Tay
786
has.
plus 530.
786 plus 530. Do the rest agree? Yep. You all agree with Jordan as well? Yep. So to find Mr. Tay, it's 530 plus 786. Yep. So that's correct. And our answer, 1,316. Okay, so how many of you managed to get the answer? Okay, all right, great. Wow, more hands now. That's good. Okay, so we're going to move on to another question. So this is question 41. Meg has 3 times as much money as Nancy. Nancy has twice as much money as Pam. So there are people here. Pam has $40.25 less than Meg. How much money does Pam have, and how much money do the 3 girls have to get all together? So you realize for this question, although this question, I has got whole numbers, this question has got decimals, but I placed it under whole numbers because in the end, in whole numbers, right, we actually do look into parts as well, and sometimes decimals do come into place. So with regards to this question, maybe you could take some time to work this out and we'll discuss it. Okay, anyone has finished this question already? Only Jordan. Okay, maybe I'll wait a little while more. Okay, let's take a look at it together, shall we? So Meg has 3 times as much money as Nancy. Nancy has twice. Pam has this amount less than. Now, when you come across words such as how many times as much, twice as much, more than, less than, one way we can approach it is by drawing a model. And so let's try it out. So we have Meg, we have Nancy, and we have Pam. Meg has 3 times as much money as Nancy. So Meg has more money. Okay, and because it's 3 times as much, so Meg will have 3 units. So I'm going to draw a model, a bar for Meg that has got 3 units. Okay, and as compared to Nancy, Nancy would have 1 unit. Okay, now we move on to the second sentence. Nancy has twice as much money as Pam. So now we are not looking at Meg anymore. We are comparing between Nancy and Pam. So the question mentions that Nancy has twice. So if, how do we make Nancy's unit become twice? In other words, what Pam has is actually half that of Nancy. So what we have to do to the units that Nancy has is that we got to split it. We got to split from one big unit into two smaller units. And from there, Nancy would have twice the 2 units, and Pam would have 1 unit as compared to Nancy. So it will be something like that. Okay. Now at this point, we have a problem. Our problem is that Mac's units are really big. Nancy and Pam's units are smaller. So what can we do to the units to make them to become the same size? See, this is one of Mac's units, right? Yeah, and this same unit, okay, if you were to look down towards where Nancy's unit is, it's actually split into two smaller units. So what I can do is for every 1 unit of Mac, I split into two smaller units, two smaller equal units. So this is what I will end up with. Yeah. And now you see that the problem is solved because all units are of the same size. And perhaps if we could count and put the number of units by the side, that would really help us in the calculation. So Mac has got 6 units, Nancy would have 2 units worth of money, and Pam would have 1 unit. Okay. And where can we put our $40.25? Now that we have settled all the units, put them in place, where can we put $40.25? What exactly is $40.25? Question says, Pam has $40.25 less than Mac. Okay, so which means that we are actually comparing between Pam and Mac. The difference. So this is actually $40.25. Yeah. How many units gives you that?
5.
You see? Yes.
5.
5. Thanks, Jordan. So 5 units gives you $40.25. Okay. And from here, we can find the value of 1 unit. Not sure whether you still remember how...
What 1 unit? 5 unit is 14.25. The 1 unit is the answer for pump.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right. So $40.25. Okay, just a recap, how you would do a long division with regards to decimals, because I know that this is covered this year for you. You do long division just as you usually do. So, but you have to bear in mind where the decimal point is. So I'm going to put a decimal point over here first. Okay, after the ones place. So 40 divided by 5, I'll have 8. See, I do not bring down the decimal point when I divide. I just bring down the next number, which is 2. And I need to ask myself, something multiplied by 5, that will give me 2. So 0 times 5 will give me 0. And I bring down another number, 5. And 5 times 5 gives me 25. That will leave me with my answer for 1 unit. So this is how I divide a decimal by a number. Whatever numbers I bring down in the long division working, I do not bring down the decimal point. So just take note of that. Okay, so $8.05. Question for A, how much does Pam have? So Pam has 1 unit. So this is actually the answer for 41A. Okay. How many of you actually got this answer correct? Okay. Now, how much money do the 3 girls have altogether? Now, the thing is that once you have the value for 1 unit, it's pretty easy to find every other, question that has been asked. So 3 girls altogether, you have to count all the units that they have, right? So total units will be 6 units plus 2 units plus 1 unit. Okay, where I get the information from, I actually got it from here. Yeah. Okay, that's why if we were to tally it beforehand, it's so much easier for us to refer back to our table, our diagram, and get our units. So from here we have 9 units, and total amount of money will be 9 times of $8.05. Okay, so 9 times you will get $72.45. Okay, I hope you managed to get this as well. Okay. Right, we're going to move on to the next question. We have about 4 more questions to go. Everyone still okay? Or is this like getting quite heavy for you? Surviving? Okay, so we'll move on to the next
I don't
question.
know what I got wrong.
Sorry?
I don't know what I got wrong.
Who's that? Jordan, for which question?
Wait, yeah.
Hmm.
Never mind. I did wrongly.
Was, oh, it was a careless mistake?
Yeah, I put 40.25 times 6.
Oh, okay. All right. So you found your mistake. That's good. We'll move on to the next one. So next one will be question 42. Again, it's another section C question. A box and 5 packets of rice have a mass of 103.7 kg. Mass of the box is 14.8 kg less than the mass of 1 packet of rice. You need to find the mass of 1 packet of rice and the mass of the box. This is a very common kind of question that usually comes up. Other than using mass, sometimes this kind of question appears in volume as well, whereby they tell you that a bottle of water that has been filled to a certain volume has, has this mass. Find the volume of the water, something like that. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to leave you with a minute to work out this question.
I can find B really. I cannot find A. For A is the answer 20.74 kg.
No, that's not the answer.
For B is 5.94.
We'll take a look together. Yeah, maybe
I got all wrong.
another 15 more seconds. Yeah, Jordan can keep thinking.
I got all wrong.
Think about it again.
Huh?
Okay, let's take a look at this question. Come, Jordan, let's take a look at it together. So we have a box and 5 packets of rice, 103.7 kg. I'll write down the information first. So we have 1 box plus 5 packets of rice, and that gives us 103.7 kg. Okay. Now, why I'm writing this down in place of the first sentence is that it's always good to cut down the number of words for word problems so that we simplify the question. And when a question is being simplified, sometimes there's less clutter and it's easier for us to look at what we really need to look at. Okay, so next sentence, the mass of the box is 14.8 kg less than the mass of 1 packet of rice. Okay, now let's try to understand this second sentence here. Which is the heavier one, which is the lighter one? Is the box the heavier one or the packet of rice the heavier one?
The box.
The box is the heavier one?
I mean the packet of rice, sorry.
Yeah. So that means the box is the lighter item, right? because the mass of the box is 14.8 kg less. So the word less is very important. So since the box is the lighter item, let's consider letting the mass of the box be 1 unit. From here, we could actually find the mass of one packet of rice in terms of number of units. Okay, so since the box is 14.8 kg less than one packet of rice, so we can say that one packet of rice in terms of mass is 1U
I know already. I know.
plus 14.8 kg. Okay, does this make sense to everyone? Okay, now since one packet of rice is 1U plus 14.8 kg, can we find the mass of 5 packets of rice? Now, 5 packets of rice basically means one packet plus one packet plus one packet plus one packet plus one packet, right? So everything is 5 times over. So if it's everything 5 times over, means instead of 1 unit, 5 times of 1 unit will make up 5 units, and 5 times of 14.8 will make up 14.8 kg times 5. Okay? Now, it's kind of weird to leave this hanging here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to work this out. So we get a nice number. So 8 times 5, 40. Put a decimal point. 4 times 5, 20, plus 4, 24. 1 times 5, 5. 5 plus 2, 7. So you will get 74 kg. This will be 74 kg. Okay, and I'm going to rewrite it at the bottom. Okay, so can we find the mass of one packet of rice here? Based on what we have, okay, we know that 5 packets of rice, this is the information that we have, yeah? Okay, so this information, we can place it here, yeah? Now, we
Is it
have
74 minus 14.8?
just hold on a while. Huh? One box is 1 unit. So this information, we can place it over here. Okay? Now, so what I'm going to do now is instead of the first line being whatever that is written there, I'm going to replace it in terms of units and kg, units and mass. So instead of one box, I'm going to put down 1 unit. And instead of 5p, I'm going to put down as 5 units plus 74 kg. And it's equals to 103.7 kg. Okay. Now, from here, what we can do next is to simplify. So 1 unit, if you add to 5 units, you will get 6 units plus 74 kg. And that gives you 103.7 kg, which means 6 units gives you, anyone knows what that is? If you're not so sure, let me just show you. 6 units plus 74 kg can be written like that. 6u on one hand, okay, and 74 kg on the other. And this is equals to 103.7 kg. So 6 units is actually equals to 103.7 kg minus 74 kg. And that will give you 29.7 kg. Okay, I hope everyone is still able to follow me. Yeah. So 6 units, 29.7 kg. Naturally, we want to find what 1 unit is. So 1 unit will be 29.7 divided by 6. So 29.7 divided by 6, what you will end up with is 4.95 kg. Okay, wow, What's 4.95 kg? I hope you are not lost by now. Question asks you, what is the mass of one packet of rice? Okay, so one packet of rice, we come back to where I draw the star at. That's 1p. 1p equals to 1u plus 14.8. So one packet of rice is equals to 4.95 plus 14.8. Okay, and that will give you 19.75 kg. And that will be our answer for A. And for B, what is the mass of the box? So the mass of the box, if you were to refer back to the start, the first few lines, okay, I'm going to draw a black star, two black stars where the box is at. Okay, one box equals to 1u. So the mass of the box is 1u, and we have already found what 1u is, and 1u is 4.95 kg. Yep. So that's how we work out the answers to the question here. This one is a tough one, but it's a common one. So if you find that this is something that is challenging, do mark it out with a star or an asterisk or something. Okay, so when you're doing your revision for your exam, come back to this question, try it again, don't look at my annotations, and see whether you can get the answer that is correct for this. And if you do, that's great. That means you really understand it. If you don't, take a look at the annotations, try to understand, and see whether you can do it a third time over and get it right without looking at the annotations. Yeah, so that's the way to actually grasp a concept. So any of you managed to get the answer correct on your own? Yeah. Estelle, wow, okay. So let's see whether there are any questions that may be a little more challenging to you. We'll move on to the next question. So next question is question 44. It's still taken from ACS Junior. Dave and Kumar had an equal number of marbles at first. Both of them gave away some marbles. Dave gave away 4 times as many marbles as Kumar. In the end, Dave had 61 marbles while Kumar had 187 marbles. How many marbles did Dave have at first? So let's take a minute to work this one out. We'll leave the answers to the end. So if you have worked out any of the answers and you are not so sure whether it's correct, let's wait till after the discussion, then you will see whether your answers are correct. All right, let's take a look at the question now. Dave and Kumar had an equal number of marbles at first. So the word equal number is actually our first clue. So what we can do is we indicate in a model Dave and Kumar. Equal number meaning that if you were to draw the units, they are of the same size. So I hope that if you have done a model, you will have started out with something like that. Yep. So both of them gave away some marbles. Question is not very clear about how many marbles they gave away, but it's just some marbles. So Dave gave away 4 times as many marbles as Kumar. Okay, So how are we going to draw it like that? Well, what we could do is we put down 4 units under Dave anyway. 4 units that Dave gave away and 1 unit that Kumar gave away. So if Dave gave away 4 units of marbles and Kumar gave away 1 unit of marbles as indicated, let's indicate 4 units for Dave. So these are the ones that are given away, and for Kumar, it will be 1 unit. You can't draw the 4 units outside of whatever total that they have, because that would mean that they would have taken marbles from elsewhere, which the question didn't mention. So it definitely has to be within the units that we have originally drawn, but it has to be less than its total. Because while they gave away some marbles, there were some left. Okay, so it makes sense to draw 4 units within the total number of the total size that Dave has, and 1 unit for that of Kumar. So Dave had 61 marbles left. Kumar had 187 marbles left. So what does this mean? This means that 61 wasn't given away. We can put 61 here. And for Kumar, 187 marbles wasn't given away. We could put it down here. All right, now we want to find how many marbles Dave had at first. So you want to find this. Maybe if I were to draw it clearer, it will look something like that, like this. Okay. So how do we go about solving this question? We have units, we have the values. If I were to draw a line here, to just focus on this portion, you'll realize that 187 is made up of 3 units and 61. Yeah, 187 is made up of 3 units and 61. So this also means that 3 units is actually 187 take away 61. So that will give us 126. So if we know what 3 units is, we can find what 1 unit is. So 1 unit will be 126 divided by 3, 42. Okay, now, so knowing what 1 unit is makes life a lot simpler. So for every 1 unit that you see, you can put in 42, 42, 42, 42, 42. How many marbles did Dave have at first? I think you can find the answer right away already, right? So Dave has got 4 units and 61. So we have 4 units multiplied by 42, and you can add 61 to it. So let's try to work this one out first. So 4 times 42, we'll get 168 plus 61, and that will give us 229. Now, anyone has an alternative method to this? In fact, I do have an alternative method that might be faster to work out. Let me use another color. So I will use orange instead. Now, if you notice, 1 unit is 42, right? So I will start based on this. 1 unit is 42. And you know that the number of marbles that Dave and Kumar had at first is equal. So it doesn't really matter whether you find the initial number of marbles that Dave has or Kumar has. And if you were to look at Kumar has 1 unit and 187 marbles. Yeah, if you were to add them together, you will get the number of marbles that Kumar had at first. So if you can find the number of marbles that Kumar has, won't that give you the answer for the marbles that Dave has? So you can just take 42 plus 187 and you'll get the answer as well, 229. So this is a shorter method. Yeah, but condition is that both of them need to have the same number of marbles at first. If it's different, then you cannot use this method. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. You take a minute to go through this question and try to work it out. Okay, let's take a look at this question. Question says the cost of one shirt and two t-shirts is $82. So instead of so many words, I'm going to put down as 1S plus 2T equals to $82. Okay, and the cost of 4 such shirts, 8 such t-shirts, 6 similar dresses, 796. So yeah, 4S plus 8T plus 6D equals to 796. Now you want to find the cost of one dress. Okay, so just by writing down these 3 lines and using letters to represent shirt, t-shirts and dresses, we've managed to simplify the question. So we do not need to look at too many words at go. So based on whatever that we have here, okay, actually first and second line is useful to us. Third line is the question. So we can't make use of the third line to find our answer, right? So how do we make use of the first and the second line to find the answer, which is 6 dresses? So let's see. What we can do to these is to, we look at the 4 operations. Do we add? Do we subtract? Do we do some multiplication? Or do we do some division? So let's see. In the end, ultimately, we need to find the cost of one dress, which means that our answer must not include the cost of t-shirts and the cost of shirts. So how do we get rid of this cost of the shirts and the t-shirts? So if you were to observe on the first line, 1 shirt plus 2 t-shirt gives you $82. Now, if you were to take this and you were to multiply it 4 times over, okay, if you were to multiply 1 shirt 4 times over, you will end up with 4 shirts. If you were to multiply 2 t-shirts 4 times over, you'll end up with 8 t-shirts. Okay, and of course, its cost will be 4 times of 82. So let's try and see whether this will lead us anywhere. So I'm going to write it again, write the first line again. 1 shirt plus 2 t-shirt is $82. If I were to multiply this 4 times over, it will be 4 shirts plus 8 t-shirts, and that will be 4 times of 82. And that will give us 328. Wow. Okay, so what is 328? I'm going to underline the portion on the second line that represents 328. This is 328. This. Okay? Now, so if I were to write the second line down again, instead of 4S plus 8T plus 6D equals to 796, I am going to replace 4S plus 8T by 328. Yeah? Okay, so what does this mean? This means that, well, looking at this statement over here, I don't see any more shirts. I don't see any more t-shirts. What I see is $328. Okay, now we can find what 6 dresses cost. So 6 dresses is actually 796 minus 328. And that gives us 468. And very soon we can find the cost of one dress. So if 6 dresses cost $468, one dress will be to take $468 divided by 6. And that will give us $78. Okay, did any of you manage to get the answer for this one? Okay, thank you. It's very quiet in here. So if there are any thoughts, feel free to share. Yeah, any alternative methods, feel free to share as well. Yeah. Okay, but moving on to the last question over here. This is taken from Aitong School, 2019 paper from SA2. Question 35, the lamppost question. I think some of you might be familiar with this. Take some time to work it out, try it out, and we'll go through it in a minute.
I'll wait for me. I think I know. If you take 25, you minus 1, 24. I remember something times 24.
Something times 24. Okay. Something
I
along that
remember.
line?
Yes, I remember.
Okay. We'll see whether your answer matches mine. Yeah. Let's go through it. We have 25 lampposts placed in a straight row, equal distance apart. Equal distance apart means that, for example, they drew, in the question, they drew the 5 lampposts. So the distance apart is actually same. So if this is 1U, the next interval will be 1U, the next interval will be 1U, so on and so forth. It will not be like 2U or 10U. So the distance between the first lamppost and the 5 lampposts was 40 meters. What was the distance between the first lamppost and the last lamppost? And if you take note, there are 25 lampposts altogether. So let's see. We have the first 5 lampposts, and the distance between the first to the 5 is 40 meters. Now, for this, we realize that 40 meters has got 5 lampposts, but we cannot look at the lampposts to calculate the distance between the lampposts. What we need to look at is actually the distance, how many intervals there are in these 5 lampposts. So if we consider this to be one interval, okay, this will be the second interval, this would be the third interval, and this would be the fourth interval. And each interval represents a space between 2 lampposts. So there are 4 spaces. So I'm going to write down, okay, perhaps 5 lampposts. That gives 4 spaces or 4 intervals, and that makes a distance of 40 meters. So what happens when we want to consider one space? How many lampposts are we looking
40
at?
40 divided by 4.
But if we were to take 40 divided by 4, how many lampposts are we looking at? We're actually looking at,
first and second.
yes, 2 lampposts, right? So that makes 40 meters divided by 4, and that would be 10 meters. Okay, now, so the distance between 2 lampposts is 10 meters. What about the distance between the first and the last lamppost? So now instead of 2 lampposts, we want to look at the distance.
25 minus 1.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, after 24, 24 you times 10, so it's 240.
Okay, why do you say 25 minus 1?
Cause if you put 25, right, so it's because first it's already come out, so you put 25, it's like 25 plus 1 is already over. So you take 24, it's like 24 intervals, I think.
Great, good job. The keyword I was looking for is intervals, yeah, or 24 spaces. Because if you realize from the number of lampposts to the number of spaces, it's actually one less. Yeah? So from 25 lampposts, you can derive that it is 24 spaces. So if one space is 10 meters, 24 spaces will be 24 times of 10 meters. That will give 240 meters. So that will be the answer. Good job, Jordan. So you managed to get this one correct? Okay, great. So glad to see many thumbs up, yeah, throughout this today's session, and hopefully next week we can see even more. Next week we'll be looking into fractions. Okay, so now this is a challenge question, and I actually took this from um, a certain year, a certain past year paper. I won't tell you which year, so don't go and hunt your rack of papers. But anyway, Keith and Richard had the same number of toy cars at first. Keith gave away a certain number of cars. Richard lost cars. Richard had 4 times as many toy cars as Keith. And you want to find the toy cars that they have all together at first. Now, this question resembles one of the questions that we have done today. I hope you know which one I'm talking about. Don't say anything, yeah? Okay.
I don't
Now, in your
understand. They
okay,
say the first correct entry will be published in the following session.
yeah.
What's that?
Okay, so work out the answers to this. Send it to me at email.miss.xiao@gmail.com. By end of the week, I'll look through all your answers, and the entry that is correct, the first entry that is correct, I'll publish in the next session. So next week, I'll be seeing you again on Wednesday. So I will be flashing the answers. In fact, not my answers, but your answers that are
And
correct.
closest answers.
Correct answer. Correct
Closest.
answer. Yeah.
Closest.
We'll
Because
see.
maybe we don't know how to do. So
Yeah.
the closest one then got the first entry, correct entry.
Okay, but you try. You try your best, and I'll take a look at your answer. You send it to me. You can take a snapshot of your working, send it to me, and
Okay.
yeah, I will take a look at it. So something to look forward to for next week. And for next week, in the meantime, from now to next week, work hard and stay positive. Exams are coming, so the worst thing to do is to be discouraged and upset about anything and everything. So continue to work hard, continue to be encouraged that we still have time, yeah, and every day do a few questions. And if you have not registered with me for next week's session, do register. Next week we will be covering fractions, P4 fractions. Yeah, and just as an ending slide, um, I'll be having online tuition for maths next year, P5 maths, and it'll be a live session. So if you are interested to learn from home, have tuition from home on a weekly basis, and to interact with peers online in the comfort of your home, take a look at online manipulatives, so on and so forth. Next year, I have this weekly session for you. And if you're keen, do email me to find out more so that I can share more with you. Yeah. So with this, I'll see you next week. And thank you everyone for your time. I hope this session has been helpful to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Did I do great?
Yes. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah. Well done, Jordan.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.